So let's make the footer responsiveness, and let's get started by just making sure that all of the elements and layout works well, and only then take care of the shoes and the animation. We already know that they need to be fixed. So let's start with the tablet viewpoint. The counter itself looks pretty good right now. The button, CTA button, is way too big, even though it's supposed to be huge. So let's turn that maybe to 40, maybe even 35 is still quite big, and we can reduce the padding a little bit. And the space that we've got here, although we do need the shoes here, maybe that's a little bit too big. So let's head into the CTA heading, which currently takes up 45% viewport height. Maybe reduce that to 40. We still have space for the shoes here, and I think this is actually enough. Footer itself looks good, so let's continue to mobile landscape. Now for mobile landscape, first of all, a reminder, it's actually going to be very narrow. So I actually think that only maybe the countdown timer and the shoes and maybe the button is going to fit in. So we definitely need to change the CTA heading here from 40% viewport height, which is going to be tiny if you think about how narrow the mobile landscape is. Let's just turn this into pixels so we make sure there is actual space there to fit the images and the button. So I'm going to try 400 pixels. That's a little bit too much, 300 pixels. Okay, so now we're basically forcing it and making it fixed to have enough space for the shoes here. It's not going to fit in one screen because obviously the mobile landscape is very narrow, but at least we'll have some space to scroll through this section. I also feel like the text here is quite big, and this is actually not the actual H3 class. It's a class that just tries to look like it, so I think it needs to go down to 35 or something. Yeah, to look something like, actually, what does it look like in the cards here? H3, oh, it's still 50 here. Really? Quite big. I do think that it will look better here with a smaller text, so I'm going to take the liberty to make the text a little bit smaller there. And let's head into mobile. Okay, so button definitely needs to be smaller. So 30, maybe even 25 here. And the countdown timer does not fit. So we do need to go and edit the classes that we've got here. So let's double click the countdown timer here so we can go ahead and edit it. And let's see what we have. So the countdown timer wrapper has a gap. So let's remove the gap completely. Maybe just do like 5 pixels. And maybe let's take the text, the number itself of countdown number, which is 2.5 EM. So I see they completely are now rewriting the classes that we had because we've made this viewport width, right? So you see here, they're basically overriding our classes on mobile. This is just because, remember, we copy this component from another resource that already had classes to it. So I'm just going to reset the size. Now it's our size, but that's also quite big because I guess here they're already start overriding it here. Let's go ahead and see what they're doing to the countdown number. So here they're already turning it to EM. Let's reset that as well. Okay, so now it's 15% viewport width, which is the size that we've set on desktop. And now it's cascading into the mobile landscape and to the mobile itself. Although here it is a little bit too big if we want to leave space for the padding on the side. So let's reduce that a little bit, maybe to 10, and also remove the spacing that we have here. The days, hours, and seconds here, I wonder if we need them because they're going to be very, very small. Let's see if we can make the label a little bit smaller. It's already quite small. Let's change it to something like 8 pixels or 9 pixels. So 9 pixels is something that you still know is going to be readable on mobile, so that is okay. But the spacing here, something with the spacing is not working well now. Let's go here, and they're all spaced in the center. Maybe if we make it, yeah, bottom. Now because the text is so small, if we're trying to center the semicolons, it's between the days, the label, and the number. So now I'm aligning them to the bottom looks better here. Okay, I think the countdown timer looks good on mobile right now, so I'm going to leave that. And do I still feel like the height needs to be 350? Maybe. It's all right. I think we still have place for the shoes, and I feel like it's going to be okay. The only last thing I do want to change here is actually in the footer itself, where you can see that the logo is actually even here and here. Here the logo is still readable, although we should probably bring it up a tiny bit because we're taking it down 100 pixels. Okay, so this is good. And now let's go back here. The logo looks good. Mobile. In mobile, we do need to remove this so that the logo is going to be visible. And I wonder whether all of this text here fits in. This feels like it needs to be smaller. So we don't have a label for text size is small. So let's add a class text size small. And it feels like this needs to be here something like 10 or maybe 11. So it's pretty minimal, but feels like we don't need this to be a huge text. Maybe 13. Okay, so the layout is basically done. Now what we want to do is we want to make sure that we are changing, because you can see that the shoes are completely off. So let's change both the sizing of the shoe, although I do see that the shoes become smaller as we're going down in breakpoint. So let's try to play with the positioning and see if that works. If we're going into our animation, let's head to tablet. Let's select our footer wrapper where we have the while scrolling in view animation. And let's try to change the sizes, the move. Again, rotation we don't need to edit, but the move from pixels to percentage. So right now it's, actually let's start on tablet, on desktop, to maintain the exact same position and then see if that holds. I'm not sure this would hold, but I will try this. So let's see. Shoe number 1, let's change from -600. I don't even know. So I'm just going to try -50% and see what that does. It's quite close. You can see it moving right here on the left. So I'm going to play around with this to maybe -46 and then moving into -20%. No, a little bit that way. Okay, so preview this. Let's close the navigation so we can see. It looks pretty similar, and now it's percentage based. So let's save this and let's see if I go to tablet, if this works. Preview on tablet. Okay, so in terms of the X position, which we changed, it actually works, but we didn't change the Y position to be percentage based. So let's do that as well. So again, we've changed the X axis to percentage. Let's also change it on the Y axis. So let's, 100 pixels is maybe 10%. Yeah, it feels quite close. And then here it moves to, I don't know, 13%? No, a little bit higher, maybe 9. Okay, let's save this. Let's head to tablet. Let's preview this. On tablet, it does need to be a little bit higher. So let's see what will happen if we go on desktop. The reason I'm trying to do this is because I want to avoid creating separate animation for each breakpoints, which we did previously, but I'm trying to, do this efficiently as possible. So I'm going to try to see if I can make this with a single interaction. So again, let's go into the shoe one from 10. Let's actually move this a bit higher from maybe 0 to 4. Let's preview this on the desktop. Desktop, it looks okay. On tablet. Okay, so tablet also works. We can say that it also works. It does go on top of text a little bit. What would happen if we go on mobile? Okay. Ideally, we still need to bring it up a bit. Mobile? Yeah, we do need to bring it up quite a bit. And what would happen if I bring it up a bit? I have an idea on how I'm going to solve this. Basically, the problem is that we have more space. If you look at the relatively because the Y axis is now on 0, the shoe is based in the middle. Now here, when it's a little bit under the middle, it's already on top of the text because we have more space. The proportions of this is a little bit different. So I think if we just give this on desktop, we give this section a little bit more space. If we go to the call to action section and the call to action heading and make this a tiny bit bigger. So instead of 45, let's make it 55. So now we have a little bit more space. And now on my interaction, I'm going to bring it up a little bit more. Then it's going to solve the problem that we have on mobile breakpoints where the proportions were a little bit different. So let's bring up the shoe a tiny bit to the top, -22, and then -10, let's say. Let's preview this. Not too far up on the desktop. Although on tablet, it's pretty good. Here it's pretty good as well. And then here, yeah, here the proportions are dramatically different. So in mobile, we'll just have to make this section a little bit smaller by decreasing the size here. And that's going to solve our problem here. And also, I think maybe make this text a little bit smaller so it doesn't take 3 lines. If we turn this to 25, or maybe even 20. No, 25 should probably be like this. If we play around here, nope. So because the proportions are actually very different, I'm not sure I'll be able to do this on a single interaction. Does look good on tablet right now. On desktop, it's too high, and on mobile, it's too low. Okay, so in this case, what I'm going to do is, I've noticed that what I have right now here works on tablet and on mobile landscape. So I'm just going to rename this interaction. Let's go to the interaction and rename this running shoe tablet mobile landscape. And let's just try to optimize now for these 2 breakpoints and then duplicate this for desktop and mobile and make sure that they all each look the way that we want them to look. So we already know that this looks good. So shoe 1 is great. Shoe 2, we're probably going to change that to, I don't know, guessing 25. No, maybe 50. And then here 20 or maybe minus 20. Okay. And then again, what was it? If shoe 2 was 50, then maybe 40%, and then minus 30. Let's preview. Okay, I do feel like it needs to go out. No, go out a little bit more. Okay, so let's save this. Let's preview. This looks good on mobile landscape. This looks good on tablet. Okay, so we've got the interaction working on 2 breakpoints. That's okay. Let's duplicate that. Let's turn it off on desktop. Let's turn it off on desktop. Let's turn it off on mobile portrait. And now let's close this. Let's go ahead and add another interaction for desktop. Add another while scrolling in view, and that's going to only work on desktop and above. Play animation. We're going to duplicate this, and this one we're going to call desktop. And now let's just change the size. What was the problem here? The problem here was that they're too high. So let's just change the y-axis. So the y-axis needs to, let's preview this. Shoe number 1, y. Well, I'm not seeing how this moves. So, sorry, not the rotate. Let's save this. No, I still need to bring it down a little bit. So desktop, choose shoe 1, and change the y to let's try minus 50 to minus 40. Whoa, that's something too much is happening. So from minus 50 to, no, so from 50, let's see which one is right. Somewhere in the middle, actually. So from 0 to maybe 10. Let's preview this. Okay, so now the first shoe is well. Second shoe also needs to come down a little bit. So shoe number 2, let's say from 0 to minus 10. Let's preview this. Yep, fantastic. Desktop works well. We can save that. And lastly, we can go ahead and actually let's check this interaction on mobile and see if that works. Nope, we don't see them at all. So let's go ahead and duplicate this. Let's call this mobile. Wait, I think I made a mess because desktop needs to stay on desktop. Now I need to close this, create another interaction while scrolling in view that is only going to be on mobile portrait. And for that, we're going to select this interaction. And now let's preview this. So they also need to be much higher. So y, let's do y minus 20 to minus 10. And here, also minus 20 to minus 10. And see how that looks. No, need to be a lot more. So minus 50 to minus 40. Let's try that here as well. Minus 60 to minus 40. Okay. Okay. Fantastic. So this is where I want them, right in the middle. Okay. Fantastic. So now we've managed to work it out with 3 separate interaction, and the animation works on every breakpoint.